what it used to be. There's so much hatred. War.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cruise Director Sally Sago.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're in for a real treat this morning. We have a celebrity chef who's come here just for a few days and is going to give you a marvellous cookery demonstration. So would you please welcome Chef Shivaram. Thank you very much for joining us in Arcadia.
Good morning, all of you. So it's nice to see all of you guys out there, and I'm here to just present some rustic Indian cooking. I've been doing Indian cooking for past 12 years, and I've been traveling around India, in and around almost all the places. So before I start, actually, I'm going to just give you a brief idea about what is all about India. Okay, it starts from a different sort of climatic conditions, from say the most coolest climate from Kashmir to a tropical climate somewhere in the southern part of India, to the desert to the western side, and very to wet climate in the eastern side, and of course a very good pleasant climate somewhere in the middle of India. So it all generally starts with a lot of climatic conditions. It all starts whenever you talk about the food of India, the geographical location and a different type of temperature plays a very important role whenever you talk about your Indian cooking. Okay, India has a vast coastal line, so you generally see a lot of coastal belt in and around. When you talk about, say, from the eastern side, we have a place called Bengal. Okay, a lot of fish is also very famous. Some a little more down you go, you have some place called Odisha. It is also very high in seafood. Fine. Then a little more down we have something called Andhra Pradesh, where it is also very famous for its different seafood in the coastal belt area. And we have Tamil Nadu in the southern part of India, which is high again in the seafood category as well. When you have a little more of south, we have Kerala on the western side, western south and southern western side. And we have some very good cooking, say from the Karnataka region, which is what we call it as Mangalore. And a little more above, the very famous, the Goan cuisine. A little more above, we have a place called Konkan. And it is also very famous all for the seafood. Why am I talking about seafood? Because today I'm going to do one of the starter food as seafood speciality. It is from the region called Andhra. It's a very spicy and easy preparation for anyone to follow. So as I said before, it is all about simplicity and of course not losing out the character of the Indian food as such. Before you start something about Indian cooking, we got to talk something about the spices that are very famous in India, so without which we can never ever cook Indian food. It is the best blend of spices. It is a different varieties of blends that generally makes it possible to make Indian food so special. When you go to the northern part of India, most of the spices are grown out there are from the southern part of India. Only very few of spices are very famous out there. Say, for example, you have something called saffron. Saffron is a very popular, I think all of you know about it. Yes? Saffron, of course, the Spanish saffron is the most famous and it is most abundantly available. The quality of Kashmir saffron is a totally different one because it is much more intense in flavor. Iranian saffron is also very famous. Anyway, there is a very popular place called Pampur where you generally pick up the saffron from. We are going to make some specialty preparation from that particular region in tomorrow's Indian menu. Okay, we are going to make some Rogan Josh the authentic way. Okay, most of the places do a lot of different easy way to make that particular dishes, but tomorrow you're going to taste the authentic Kashmiri Rogan Josh. Okay, anyway, today we are going to start off with, say, 4 simple preparations of Indian cooking. 2 of them are from southern part of India and 2 of them are from northern part of India. Okay, one is your prawn dish, which is going to be a crispy fried prawn, which you're going to be tasting tomorrow. Anyway, crispy fried prawn from Andhra. Then we have something called tomato sar. It's a very popular soup. It's a tomato-based soup, which is generally had with plain rice. Fine. It is from the region called Mangalore. It's somewhere in Karnataka. Fine, Karnataka is where you have a place called Bangalore also from. Okay. And we are going to make a typical, say, Mughalai dish, which we are going to make with your chicken. What is it called? It's called Malai Murgi Tikka Masala. It's something very similar to what popularly you all know. Already you know that the Tikka Masala is very famous for you all guys. But here we're going to make it a little different style. We're not going to use any tomatoes in that. It is not reddish. It is not succulent. I mean, of course, it is succulent. Okay. But we are going to use a little twist because we're going to use a lot of cream in it. It's a very creamy sort of preparation. Okay, I think all of you might be knowing something about, say, a murg malai kebab or a chicken which is as creamy as cream, and it is very tender and it is very juicy as well. So we're going to make a kebab. Okay, we're going to make something like a kebab. Of course, I'm not going to use a tandoor out here. We're going to use a oven baking method that is very popular for you, and it is easy for you also. Okay, chicken we're going to make a kebab, and we're going to transfer it in a gravy. We're going to make a gravy, a rich, nutty, white-based gravy, or little off-white, depends on whatever fashion that you want to make it anyway. We're going to make a white gravy, and we're going to just drop in with richness of cream as well as, say, your Indian yogurt. So that is your third dish. The last dish for the day, we're going to make something called a simple vegetable pulao. But with a little difference, we're going to use some specialty spices out here. Okay, using these spices, and I'm going to teach you a little bit of small tricks sort of thing to improve upon the flavor on your rices. Whenever you're going to make the flavored rice of Indian style, I'm going to give you a little bit of tips so that it will be easy for you and you can also try it out in your home. Cooking rice is the most difficult and the most easiest also. Okay, it all depends on the type of rice and the quality of rice that you have. First, you should understand it is something like a woman. Again, you ought to know everything about the rice, otherwise you will never be able to cook a proper rice. Indian rice has to be, okay, it need not be always creamy like, say, risotto and all. It has to be flaky, nice, split enough, and it has to be a little succulent or a little dry and a nice flaky sort of rice. And of course, you got to incorporate the flavor. If you do not incorporate the flavor, you can never cook this particular rice as such. Fine. Shall we start with a little bit of the mise en place that's already all got? We're going to start off with a little bit of mise en place that we're going to start for the prawns as well as tomato sour in this side, and we're going to make the rice as well as the chicken tikka masala out here. Fine. Chef. For your sour, because we're going to make the sour, it has to be boiled for a long time. We're going to start that thing first. Planning how to do any type of menu is a very important task. Anyway, that's where you're going to start off. For this particular sour, as it is tomato rich based, we're going to use some fresh tomatoes. I've got some nice boiling water with me out here. And I'm going to take some tomatoes in the water. So it's going to be simmering for quite a lot of time. I think all of you know what are these? Red chilies. Yeah, great. These are the red chilies which are fresh. Fine. We generally do not use fresh much in most of the Indian cuisine. Maybe in Thailand they go to use a lot of red chilies which are fresh. Okay, but I have a little bit of red chilies out here. But of course, I'm going to use a little of dry red chilies. So what could be the difference between the dry red chilies and the fresh red chilies? This particular variety of chili that I have got, it is not very hot. It is much more fruitier. Okay, it is not very hot. It is going to give me a little of pulp and also the color. The type of chilies that we generally use out there in India, chilies also do come from many parts of India. In fact, as far as my knowledge goes, we have got one of the hottest chili in India from Nagaland. Anyone knows what is it? It's called Naga Jolakia. Okay, it's something to do with snake sort of thing. It's a very tiny chili, which is more than 10,000 Scoville units on the spiciness. So I've added some of my red chilies out here. I'm going to use some whole spices in the form of, say, I've got some coriander, the whole coriander. Okay, here you got to observe one thing that I'm doing out here, is that I'm always adding the whole spices out here. I'm not going to add any of the powdered form because I don't want to make my soup cloudy. And if you're going to use your spices in powdered form, you might not know how much is the quantity that's required. This way, that particular dish takes out how much that is required for itself. Because we're going to anyway strain it, and how much ever is your amount of spices that is required, that will be more than sufficient. You have a much more controlled the amount of spiciness that is required. If you want to use much more, you're going to blend it a little more, or no. So you're going to use some coriander seeds. Got some green chilies. I'm going to just blend this particular part, so no need to cut or do anything of any sort as of that. Got some coriander stalks. Okay, the best of the flavor comes from the coriander, because this particular soup is highly flavored with coriander. So very popular is this particular soup from this part of the country. Got some garlic. Anyway, I think I've got a very less amount of tomatoes. So instead, to make my life a little easy and a little quicker for you, I'm using a little tomato paste in it. So this will be simmering for a quite long time. What next is we're going to start the marination for the prawns. We're going to take the prawns. We have got some tiger prawns. First thing is that we're going to make something like a light batter. Okay, it is not a thick batter. We're going to use refined flour. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to use some rice flour. Rice flour gives you a little bit a rustic texture, and it is much more coarser, and it gives a different sort of flavor. So we're going to use some rice flour. In that, we're going to add some ginger garlic paste. In fact, ginger garlic paste is one of the lifeline of most of the Indian cooking. So without which we cannot make. It's just equal quantities of ginger as well as garlic, which is grounded into a form of paste, and it is used all throughout India. You got some nice ginger and garlic paste. Got some chili powder. Seeing by this color, I believe this particular chili powder does not give much of color, which we do not require. I can say that this particular chili is highly spicy. So this has to be. So you can see the dull color of this particular, this chili powder. The color does not mean always it is very spicy. Generally, the color of the chili powder, if it is dull, it is much more spicier. You got some coriander powder. Cumin. Got some crushed peppercorns. A little of turmeric. I'm going to break in some eggs to give a little binding, because anyway we're going to use a little of seafood. So we're going to make a batter, a sort of thing for this. Of course, I forgot the salt. The chefs, when they present, always they forget the salt. Garam masala. So I've made something like a batter. We'll squeeze in a little bit of lime. I got some prawns. We got some tiger prawns. So this will be the last thing that you're going to make it. In fact, I believe this has to be nicely hot and crispy and spicy. So this let it marinate for a quite long time, say around half an hour or so, and we'll be frying it in a hot, very hot oil for a few minutes, say 5 to 6 minutes, and this will be ready. So let it marinate for a while. We're going to start off with the second marination for the day, that is for the chicken. So we're going to start taking a little bit of quantity of chicken. So we have taken a vessel, and I've got some boneless chicken. Okay, I've got some boneless chicken. I'm going to take some ginger garlic paste. I'm going to use some extra amount of garlic, that is finely crushed. Some cheese. This is just a regular processed cheese. To make your life easy, we're going to use a little bit of sour cream. Because India never uses sour cream, it uses something called as a fresh cream only. We're going to use a single cream. But I believe I've tasted a lot of preparation with sour cream. It tastes much better than the regular stuff. In fact, we got use some green chili paste. So we're not going to use any of the spices which is going to give you color, because we wanted the ultimate desired product that we wanted is the whiteness of your thing. But of course, this is very green for us. But in the process of cooking, this particular greenness will go away. It is not at all visible. So we require something of this sort to be made. I'm going to use a little bit of cardamom powder, or a little bit of crushed cardamom. Salt. Mind you, I think the processed cheese also has a little bit of salt. So you should be very careful while you're adding your salt here. Fine. This might be sufficient for the marination. We're going to add a little bit of curds. And of course, a little more of lime. So this will be marination for us. Chef, can I add a little more cheese? Yes. So this will be marinating, say for you can marinate it overnight also. You can also always marinate it overnight. You can keep it in the refrigerator. So chicken, cooked chicken.
That I'll put in the oven, chef.
Okay. My chef is going to put the chicken after 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So just to make our life a little easy. We're going to just cook it in the oven, say at 240.
240 for 40 minutes.
240 for 14 minutes. Fine. So that will be making it nice little of color on the top, and it's going to cook it because it's going to cook in a higher temperature. I believe that's going to be a little moist. For a short duration of time, it's going to be moist. Yeah. Fine. I'm going to start with the gravy for your chicken tikka masala. For this gravy, we are going to use a pan. We're going to use a little of ghee. Ghee, I think all of you know what is ghee. I believe all of you are very quiet. I don't know why. I didn't get you, ma'am. You're concentrating. That's great. I was never like this when I was a student, when I was learning. I was always asking, I'm going to pester my master if he's not going to tell me what is that and what is not. So I believe you are very good students like me, in fact, now. Okay, no problem anyway. So I'm going to use some clarified butter. In fact, clarified butter, better than clarified butter, is something called desi ghee, which I believe you can make it something like a nut brown butter. You generally put it in the fish preparations or something like that sort. That gives a nutty flavor. Indian ghee has a nutty flavor to itself. So we're going to use some ghee for this particular dish. So quite a lot of it, is it? Pure fat. This particular ghee, that is generally, we talk about ghee, it is also mentioned in the Vedic times, where they talk something about, say, the cattle. Cattle is the main source of energy to most of our Indian people out there. This is so pure that whatever that is cooked out there in ghee is considered to be very pure. There is a small literature by A.K. Achaya. He talks about the great Indian dietetics person who was there in prehistoric times and Vedic period. His name is called Sushruta. Sushruta is a person, in those days he used to be called as a dietitian of those kings and all. So he started to do a lot of experiments which is related to your health as well as your dietetics in the food. He has categorized all different types of foods. He has categorized what are protein-based particular preparations, foods, what are carbohydrate-based foods, what are fruits, or what we already know, the pyramid of the food, okay, from, say, protein to your carbohydrate. He's already divided those things, and he's in the Veda or in the Ayurveda, they discuss these different types of food, something which is called as Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic. The three types of food which are very popularly had in Indian cooking. one which is called as Rajasik, which is very high in protein and richness. Okay, this is considered to be an energy-giving type of food and to build up the muscles. So that type of food is generally given to it is given to the kings, where they're going to kings and the warriors. Only those guys are supposed to have this type of food. And there's something called tamsik, which is a mild, neutral type of food. That type of food is generally used for the people who are the normal type of sedentary workers, people who are poets or say accountants or the people who generally work not much. Only those type of foods are had by the type of food that is called as tamasic. There's something called sattvic. Sattvic is the most desired type of food, which is very simple food. Okay, it is very simple food, and it is generally had by any person, any time of the day, and it is not going to hinder in his health. In fact, people who are suffering from illness. In fact, Sattvics also say something about 100% vegetarian type of food. They do not consider any type of animal fat or animal cooking in that particular thing. It's purely vegetarian. They consider something. They also perform something called as the fast. Indian fasts do have a lot of predominance in the Indian cooking. To make ourselves, to make our system a little more easier, what they do is they do something called fasting. I believe some of you are doing the Lent period now, is it? It's something very similar to that, yeah. And of course, they have a very limited quantity of food, only for the soul and for the body, only for the body and the brain to function. Otherwise, they do not have in this particular period. Because weekly or certain times, they generally do consider to perform something called as a fast. Okay, I've got some ghee already out here. It is already melted. First thing I'm going to do for this is I'm going to take some onions. Okay, I have got to crackle some garam masalas. When I say garam masala, I think all of you know, is it? It is just a combination of the cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves. So I'll not be putting any. I'll not put the cloves because it is a little spicier. It tends to be very spicier. You can generally use it for flavoring rice and the rest of the thing. So I'm going to use some bay leaf and cinnamon and cardamom. These are the spices which are very much used for the sweeter type of preparation. Anyway, we are going to make something very mild preparation today. And I'll put some onions. So while the onions are sweating, I generally put a little of salt when I generally cook this particular dish. The salt helps to take out the moisture from the onions. In a typical Indian curry, this is a stage of cooking something called as onions. What we call something as bhunoing of onions or pyaz. Pyaz is onions in Hindi anyway. We bhunav this particular thing. Indian dishes revolves around how well you can brown this particular onions. There is a special way to brown this particular onions. Of course, anyway, I'm not going to brown it for this particular dish. Maybe I'll just tell you how it is generally done. What we do is we allow to caramelize the onions a little bit, but it has to be done very slow flame and very evenly. Fine. When you're going to do that particular thing, we're going to add a little of moisture and make it little more moist, and to extract all the caramelized juices from the onions. And at one stage, we keep on adding little bit of oil, and to extract all the juices from the onions. And at one stage, you generally see that there are no onions visible. It is only a form of paste that is available. So that stage, you keep on adding. It might take long time as such, right? You have to do that particular process of adding little moisture and taking it out, and keep on cooking it for a long time or so. As I want it to be white in color, so I am not going to make it for a long time. I am going to add the ginger and garlic paste now. Add the green chili paste. Okay, these tomatoes are being cooking nicely out here. Okay, what chef is going to help me out in cooking this particular thing? The next thing that you're going to add is your yogurt and some cashew nut powder. Easiest way to finish off this particular dish is you can, at this stage, you can also blend it in a blender. It's easy for you to finish it off in that particular fashion anyway. But we're not going to do any of blending. In the meantime, I'm going to start off with the rice. For the rest, I'm going to take a little of oil and a little bit of ghee, because ghee is generally considered to be very costly stuff. So to make it little more economical for us and also not so difficult for us, this is around 100 ml. I'm going to take around 1.5 kgs of rice and say around 50 grams of ghee. Here I'm going to use some special spices. I think all of you know what is star anise. Star anise. So it is one of the essential spices in Chinese as well as Indian cooking, because it is one of the spices in Chinese cooking as well. So these are the star anise, and very popularly it is also used in The European cooking for in the stews, the stewed fruits, and in the dessert family, it generally has this particular spice called star anise. Apart from that, we're going to use some cassia barks or the cinnamon, and you're going to use some bay leaf, cardamom, some mint, and some coriander, green coriander. Fine, my oil is already hot. Yeah, at this stage you can add a little bit of curd and let it cook. You can add all of it here. The culture that is generally used in Indian curd is a little different. Okay, we generally have curd which is always made with the culture which is preserved all day, the day before. Something like a sourdough in your bread making, we have something called a culture. That makes the difference. Here I find this particular curd is a little more creamier, but Indian curd, when you want to make a proper sort of curd, it is much more denser and it is a little bit grainier. I mean, when you cut it, it is more, say, it takes form. And it is this particular curd is very creamier. The only difference that it is going to break down. When you're going to cook curd in this particular fashion, what happens is it is going to break down into smaller grains. You're going to continue cooking anyway in that particular fashion, and you're going to add in your level of sour cream to make our life easy, chef. Okay, you're going to add a level of sour cream and also some cream, not the cream now. You'll add the sour cream, let it cook down, and of course you're going to add a little of cashew nut powder. Yeah, we have got the cashew nut powder here. The oil is already hot and it's crackling like anything here. So I'll add the star anise in it. Bay leaf, cinnamon, a little of cardamom. Mind you, you should always add this particular spices when the oil or the fat is very hot. Only then it's going to extract maximum amount of flavor. Most of the spices, see, generally the flavors are generally soluble in two types of mediums. There are certain type of spices which gives out a lot of flavor in water medium. Okay, water soluble flavors and also in fat soluble. I believe there is some amount of moisture in this particular vessel anyway. Okay, it's going to take a little more time, chef. I think I require some. I will lead for that afterward. Okay, while my spices are getting sauteed, I got some sliced onions. So this will maintain my oil to a certain temperature. I always add a little bit of onions to maintain the temperature. As soon as I add my onions, because it contains a lot of moisture, the fat temperature always comes down a little. So I'm in a safer position to add rest of the ingredients. So you don't end up turning the spices to a charcoal sort of thing. So always be very careful when you're going to do this cooking process as such. In the meantime, I'm going to just chop up some mint. I'm not using much of the mint because this is a style. This is one of the style what I make. We generally tend to sprinkle the coriander or the green leafy things on the end. Okay, but what I do is to extract maximum amount of flavor, I put it in the oil when it is crackling out there. Fine, my onions are already brown. At this stage, I'm going to add a little of ginger and garlic paste and little moisture. Chop curd. And just keep. I'm going to take some green chilies. I wanted the slit wide open. Yeah, let the seeds be on, no problem. We require a lot of spiciness in the dish anyway. Can I have some curd? Thank you. This is the time, see, I already have browned my onions so much that it's going to caramelize a lot. This curd, when I'm going to add it in the oil, again it's going to get split. What happens when you want to add a little of curd, it has a lot of acid content. Along with that, anyway, you're going to add some lime juice as well. So what happens, it takes the rice and make it much more cleaner and whiter. It bleaches the rice and makes it bright. Okay, it will help to make that particular dish a little more brighter in the color. I'll be using some green chili paste also. Yeah, it depends on what is the color that you wanted. You wanted off-white, you wanted it to be a mild pale yellowish in color or bright reddish in color. If you want red, you're going to add some chilies in the form of chili. But as far as my knowledge goes, my sar is reddish in color, my prawns are almost golden brown. I want to make something yellowish in color because I'm missing the color of yellow. So I'm going to use some turmeric out here. So Indian cooking is very flexible. It is always so easy for you to make it. There is no hard and fast rule that certain things are required, certain things are not required. Yes, of course, what are things are available, you can always manage with that. Of course, it always revolves around the spices. You cannot cook Indian cooking with compensating the spices as such. Okay, this is almost ready. Now is the time I'm going to add my vegetables. I've taken some potatoes which is cut into nice diamond size shapes. Chef Dave has helped me to do that thing. Chicken arrived. Okay, chicken has come. Thank you. I believe you are enjoying the food out here. I just had a lot of food out here in just last night. I think you've been seeing me here and there. Is it or not? I've taken some carrots. I'm going to take some beans, green peas, cauliflower, just saute a bit. Do you think I'm forgetting something? Yes, of course, the salt. So, chef is already cooked and made into a nice gravy. Did you add the cashew nut paste, chef?
No, not yet, chef. I was waiting for you.
Yeah, okay, then let us cook it. Yeah, that's okay. So he made it something like a nice gravy, sort of, already ready. Now is the time we're going to add some cashew nut, powdered form or in the form of paste. It's always better to add paste, but still it's okay. We have got some nice powder of the cashew nut. This will make the dish a little more nutty. Again, of course, people who are allergic to the nuts, be a little careful about that. Okay, we're going to add some water, chef, in that. You can put some water in that, and chef has got some hot water for us anyway, or plenty, no problem. So I purposely made this particular thing little more crunchier because I wanted the crunchiness of the cashew nuts to be felt. Otherwise, it is something always like baby food. Everything is blended and it is always made into a nice paste and it is given. I don't prefer in that particular fashion anyway. So I wanted a little of crunchiness in the gravy. So I've made it in the form of powder, the cashew nut. So as soon as I add the cashew nut and the water, of course, it's already thickened. Enriching with lots of cream is the next stage of this particular dish. Fine. This is the time we're going to add the water. Vegetables are sauteed a little. Mind you, I have, forgot to tell you something about the rice that I've got today. I've already soaked the rice for say about 45 minutes in water. I've rinsed it at least twice or thrice to make it much more cleaner, and I've rinsed it quite a lot. So just mind you, this a little more time it will take. That will be around say in next 17 minutes. If at all I'm going to add the rice, once I get that thing to boil, it will take 12 minutes to complete that particular dish. So you can time it. Some more water, chef. Yeah, this requires a little of moisture. Anyway, we're going to enrich it with lots of cream. So, I'm going to finish up this. Where's the chicken, chef?
Sure.
Thank you. Oh. It's already baked, nice hot. Chef, before that, I want you to just cut some more chilies because I'm going to end it off with a little of chilies. Some chopped chilies, but I prefer split wide open.
Like this?
Anyway.
I have a golden rule of chopping actually. When you start chopping of any food stuff, you should have the same set of fingers when you end. That's a golden rule.
Look. Thank you. And the cream. I'll be putting some single cream, plenty of it. Fine, chef. Thank you. Nice green chilies. This will give that extra punch to your dish, and it is not so spicy as well. Okay, let it be. Keep it. So the dish is almost ready. Only thing is we're going to finish it off with a little of lime juice and finely chopped coriander, chef.
Yes, sir.
The dish is almost ready. Just need to simmer it just before you pick it up. In the meantime, I'll strain my sour. It's almost ready. Ideally, I will be blending this particular mixture, whatever is there. So we got the blender, chef.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we're going to blend this particular mixture to extract maximum amount of flavor. Are you getting bored? Sure? Okay. You want to help me again straining it a little bit pieces. Can add a little moisture.
Right, chef?
The water is already boiling. Now is the time for me to put the rice. What is the proportion of rice to the water that is generally done in Indian cooking? It is always easy for us to finish off with 1:1.5. Okay, because we already soaked the rice, it's taken up maximum amount of moisture, and what happens is that even while you're cooking, you do not tend to take out all the moisture. Okay, my ladle is already there inside. It's hot, yeah, it's hot.
You want me to cover?
a little more time. Let it cook for some more time and then we'll cover it. Fine, the blend is ready. So I'm going to put it in the liquid itself again, so that it is easy for me to strain out. You can take the bigger strainer, chef. This strainer is very fine and it will take a long time for us to take out. And the only thing is that you're going to do is the finishing of this particular soup. I'm taking some coriander, yeah, that's okay. You just put it on fire. Last is the thing that you're going to season this particular thing, and you're going to give a tempering. Any South Indian food is generally you do something called as a tempering. It is just take a little of ghee or oil at the end to extract maximum amount of flavor, and just going to put it at the end of the dish is completed. So it gives the excellent extra punch of flavor that is there. So most of your southern Indian cooking revolves around a very good tempering. You don't give a good tempering to your dishes. In fact, not only south, most of the Indian cooking, your dish is going to get a different sort of flavor. So you should know how to temper your preparations. The dish is almost done, chef. Just keep it aside and I will dish out one time. It's better. So the rice is, I have to concentrate more on the rice because it is very, very difficult to manage. As I said before, women and rice for me is same. I didn't get it.
Obviously, rice.
Obviously, because when even people who can cook the rice properly are considered to be a better chefs, especially in Indian cooking, because it's more difficult. You don't cook rice in small portions. You always cook rice in large quantity because the staple food. Always you're going to be there. Very careful. Yeah, a little moment. कौन सा rice है यार? Any flavors coming that side? Are you hungry? Yes, sir. Is it sufficient for you all? Only for the taste, of course. Yeah, we use basmati rice. I didn't get you, ma'am. Can you be a little more louder?
I've always been told you must keep the lid on basmati rice and not take the lid away, and yet you're cooking it with no lid.
This is the way I generally cook the rice because it is much more easier. I am very safe. It is much more safer to cook the rice in this particular fashion. Not always is your flavor of rice is going to escape away in this particular fashion until unless there is this small film of oil that is on top of the liquid out here. You are not going to lose much of the flavor. Next is that it is always better to cook the rice properly rather than a little less of flavor. The spices that we have used, that is more than sufficient to give you the amount of flavor that is required, especially even with the basmati rice as such. See, at this particular stage, I think you can see it. No, yeah. The rice is almost cooked actually, and you can see when I press my rice a little bit, only the sides get squished off, and the center part is still remaining. It stays back, and that is the time I generally cover the rice as well as leave it for what we generally call it as dum or cooking under pressure. You can take 2 or 3 sheets of it. Yeah, you can, okay. So we'll start off the tempering and the seasoning part of it. Is this a saucepan, small saucepan? That's it.
Answer?
Yeah, take it. Yeah, you should. Yeah, for the tempering, I'm going to use a small saucepan. This sort of thing is always there in any Indian home to finish off the temperings. In fact, it is a concave vessel, something like a small kadai. You're going to use some oil as well as a little bit of ghee. More?
When you want me to switch off?
Yep. And you have to release a little of steam and you do it this way. A little bit of steam is okay. That will be safer for us to cook. As small as possible, if possible. Yeah, we can take some ghee and you can put some base in there. Just place it beneath. Okay. Yeah, under the vessel. So I tend to prefer to cook it very slowly. So it will take around say 12 to 12 minutes in this part. If it is there, it's going to catch bottom. Shall I help you? Yes. So I'm keeping a vessel sort of thing to give a little of even heat and mild heat. This will be a medium for us. So it will take some more heat.
Yeah.
The oil is ready. I'll just add some ghee. For the tempering, we're going to use some curry leaves. How many of you are aware of the story of curry leaf? In fact, how many of you have read Indian epic called Mahabharata? Yes, no, or Ramayana? Okay, this is a very, very popular beloved character called Bhima. Okay, Bhima is one of the brothers of 5 of Pandava. It's an epic story. I cannot tell you all the stories, in fact. Okay, these are 5 brothers, and one of them is a very hefty guy who is something like who's a what do you call a wrestler sort of a person? Maybe a huge Hulk sort of guy who is considered to be a very strong guy. And he marries, in the epic story, he marries Augie called Hidimba. Okay, in that story, what happens is, Bhima, he goes to Vanavasa. What is it called? What do you call Vanavasa? He is sent to the forest and he cannot disclose himself. That was a rule that is applied to him. In that particular way, what happened is, he was working as a cook in a kingdom. Okay, incidentally, what happened? He was cooking certain food, and he was cooking with ghee. Suddenly, what happened? The ghee was very hot, as it is as hot as now here. Okay, the heat of the ghee is so hot. He wanted to reduce the temperature, so he is considered to be a Hulk. He's a huge guy. Nearby there was a tree. What he did, he took that particular thing and uprooted and put all the leaves in the ghee to reduce the temperature. Okay, and incidentally it was found that curry leaves was the tree that was used, and it gave out much more flavor. This is a small story of the curry leaf of India. So incidentally, this is the story of curry leaves, what I'm going to use it now as well. I'm going to use some mustard seeds. See, mind you, the oil is very hot, and the ghee is hot. Crackle some mustard seeds. This is asafoetida. I think all of you know it. It's something to do with the extrusion or say resin from the trees, asafoetida or hing, what we generally know it in Hindi as. I'm going to use some hing. And of course, Chef Dev has given me dried curry leaves, which is no good for Indian cooking actually. Okay, this tempering is done. This will be added at a certain period. Before that, we're going to just season your dish. Chef, I have got some lime juice, some castor sugar or sugar. Yeah, salt we require. And of course, Chef has reminded me for the salt again. Yeah. Fine, going to add salt. Reduce the flame, Chef. Plenty of castor sugar. This will cut off all this sourness from my tomatoes, and it is much more milder in taste. Chef, can I have some water? I believe it's very thick. It's supposed to be a little more liquid here. I've got some lime juice. Lime juice will give out the fruitiness, and it is always generally added at the ending stage. The fruitiness of the tomatoes, it gives a little extra flavor, little extra dimension. A little more, Chef. Sufficient. It's very spicy. Tempering, you can add it now. Chef, can you give me some coriander chop? And I'm going to finish it off with a little bit of coconut milk. South Indian preparation without coconut, no good. Shall we put it at the end? Just before dish it up there. So this is done, Chef. This generally had with plain rice. Okay, Indian has a specialty of having a meal in one stage. They don't have courses. They don't have starters, and only for it is this. Whatever I am doing also is very much related to your continental style of preparation, where I have starters and soups and all. Though it is considered, we can consider this as a soup, but it is a part of meal. Okay, we don't have something called as starters and all. You have something called a meal, where in southern part of India it is always had in a banana leaf. Okay, when you go, they're going to sit on the floor and they can generally pray the Lord, and all the food is served out there, and it is had, and this is considered to be the third course in your classical sort of thing. Third course here in the sense, all food is always had with rice. The first thing that is generally had is your pulses. Okay, then comes the rasam, okay, or the sar. Then comes the sweet preparations, very sweety things. And last thing always is Indian meal ends always with something what we call it as your curd or yogurt, especially the southern part of Indian cooking. Northern part has a lot of rotis as well as vegetables and dal and lot many things which is already arranged in a small plate with lot of bowls, what we call it as katoris. I'm going to start off with the oil for the prawns. The soup is ready. The rice should be ready. I believe it's already 12 minutes past. Chef, you can start cleaning.
Should we start with the oil?
Yeah, I just put the oil for the heating of it. Get the oil. Only few things we require. So most of the preparation is already done. The only thing is going to just present it a little. I never use this because already Chef Dev has given me a nice finely powdered spices, and it was done freshly today morning. Is hata de. You want to just dish out all the dishes. एक प्रेजेंट कलर एक ही है. It all is in the size and proportions. The rice is always bigger in size. The tikka is always a little smaller. We have got some prawns and, in fact, gloves pen. Salad बना था नीचे. Rocking. Ship is rocking. अरे बाप. Chef Dev has made some salad, what we here call it as lacha pyaz, or it's yeah, put it on the thing. Make some raita if possible. From kitchen towel, paper towel, tissue. इसमें डाल सकते. डीप फ्राई करें. एक लाइन. Oil is not hot yet. You know it.
Before, when you were doing all the recipes, you kept referring to lime juice. Did you substitute that for lemon juice or not?
Yes, ma'am.
You did.
I didn't get it. Once again.
Lime juice and lemon juice, like we can use either of one.
Yeah. Uh, Lime is much more preferred because it has a little more of sourness. Okay, lemon has a lot of fruitiness in it. Okay, this is very sharp. Okay, the lime is much more sharper. And Indian cooking requires that sort of sharpness. And if at all you want to give a little of sharpness to your dishes, you can always add a little vinegar along with your lemon. Lemon has not got much of sharpness. I've switched it off. Yeah. Tongs. अभी गर्म नहीं हो रहा है इसमें डाला हाँ लो निकाल दो हो गया
निकाल देखो
नहीं सब
रिम नीचे
ठीक गर्म है इसके सेंटर लो ठीक और डेंजर है सर ये हाथ से पकड़ना पड़ेगा ये मैक्सिमम You want to check it? We're going to wait maybe 3 more minutes. In the meantime, I'll make some raita. I've got some chopped onions. Green chilies. Some coriander. Yogurt. And a little of cream, sour cream. Again, did we forget something? Yes. So where can I find salt? Exhausted. Oh. fine. I'm going to add without the salt. It's time to take away the rice.
If you can finish off the chicken and soup, it's almost
Yep.
ready.
Yep. Just heat the chicken. The soup is ready. We'll finish off with the dash of coconut milk. And finely chopped coriander. Got some tomatoes to give a little of color to my raita. Yes, I'm going to finish off this dish. Chalo, finish.
इसमें राइस डालो।
I'll leave it there. ladle. Rice ke liye ladle. It's okay. Now we're going to pray. Hope everything is okay. I'm not familiar with this particular rice. I'm trying to do it anyway. Chef Dev, did you pray? Well, fine, okay. He said it is fine and it is fine, yes, no problem.
Are you okay?
Fine, it's okay. You can see the rice is nicely soft and moist as well as dry and flaky. Can you help me out? Yep. Gloves is small to me, very small. Plus, okay. Some coriander.
Chopped one?
Ideally, fried onions is a better way. Fine. Yeah, this is the cream. I just forgot. What I'll do is a little heated. It is in a little corner. So almost over. You can always have the taste of all the food. Yeah, it's almost done.
Take it out.
You can take it out.
Take it out. ऐसे भी खाएं।
अच्छा नहीं है बोलेंगे okay. I'm just heating the cream because I don't want it raw. Chef, I believe a little of. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Does it look very complicated to you? In fact, yeah. Yeah. I'll be giving you a small recipe and a sheet of paper, maybe tomorrow, while you're having your Indian dinner. Yep.
Are you cooking it tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
I think you will be invited to the Belavad, the ninth floor, ninth deck. Belvedere, yeah. So tomorrow evening, I think we can all meet. We're going to just. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just explain a little bit of preparation. What I'm going to be making tomorrow. We have got a similar sort of starter, similar form of starter. We got some prawns as well as we got fish from Amritsar. It's in a region called Punjab. Okay, it has flavor of ajwain, or in English it is called as bishop's weed. Okay, we got a spice called bishop's weed. It's a small, tiny seeds, generally used in bakery and all, making bread sticks. Fine. Okay, it is not poppy. Bishop's weed. Ajwain, it is called in English. Other form, it is called ajwan. Okay, it is generally used for making the bread sticks or the grisinis. It is generally used for making that in bakery. And ajwain, what else? Not sesame. It is in English. It is called as bishop's weed. You're going to check it out. Maybe I'm not carrying it now, but maybe I'll show it to you tomorrow. Fine. We're going to make a fish preparation. It's almost something like a grilled fish or something like a fried fish. We're going to make it with besan. That is your chickpea flour. And one more starter, very popular starter, without which we can never make any of your Indian dishes, the snack called samosa. Fine, we're going to make a vegetarian samosas with vegetables as well as potato. Fine, and along with some chutneys and accompaniment sauces. And again, we're going to have the same tomato sour for your as a soup for tomorrow's dinner, as well as we're going to make a chicken and coriander-based soup. We call it as a shorba. Fine. Apart from that, we're going to have some main meat dishes such as Rogan Josh. I think most of you know that particular stuff. Yeah, we're going to make some Rogan Josh. We're going to make a typical Andhra speciality. That is, Andhra is in one of the region in southern part of India. Okay, it's a tangy, spicy fish preparation. Okay, specialty of that particular dish is that so popular. And it can be stored in a normal condition, like Indian temperature, for more than a week outside, and it is not going to get spoiled. Why? Because it contains those sort of ingredients which are extreme in nature. Say your tamarind and chili and oil. Okay, these are considered to be extreme ingredients, which can be used as pickles. So we are going to make something like a pickle. Okay, but it's so nice and delicious, and the dish always tastes better the next day. You make it today, of course, you can always store it in refrigeration conditions, but again, it always tastes better. Any tamarind stuff, in fact, okay, any tamarind-based preparation always tastes better the next day. Okay, we're going to make some similar curry again. We're going to make some chicken tikka masala in the white gravy, the similar thing, and we're going to make some rice, not the vegetable. We're going to make some more the saffron in it, and we're going to make some aloo and gobi tehri. It's North Indian UP specialty. Tehri? Yeah. Okay, it's very popular in around Muslim regions, in fact. Even in Hyderabad, where I belong to, tehris are very popular. But those tehris are made always with meat.
Are you cooking lunchtime and dinner time?
Dinner time. Chef? It has to be spicy. How many of you like the spicy food? You can just raise your hands. Great, yeah. That's more than required for me. Chef Dave.
Actually, for me, it's two categories actually altogether. Spice and hot. A lot of people, they misconcept between spicy and hot food. Spicy is just spicy flavor. It can be hot, but it is not always.
Spicy is generally the blend of spices. More number of spices you keep on adding, it's going to be more spicier. Hot is the chili hot. Okay, we do not tend to make always very, very spicy food. Always tend to make hot food certain times. It depends on what is the type of climate. In summer, you're supposed to have, especially in Indian cooking, you're supposed to have hot food, not spicy food. Are you getting the difference? No. Okay, hot is because of chili. What you eat chili is more in the summer time. Of course, it is not very suitable. But when you eat chili, you sweat, you perspire. And what happens in turn is that you perspire and your body is going to release a lot of moisture in that particular aspect. Mostly your body is cooled out. Okay, that is the style of Indian cooking. They generally eat a lot of spicy food at the winter time and hot food at the summer time. Spicy food is a combination of spices. Okay, then you put a lot of spices out there, that will be a little more easy to keep your body warmer. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.